Welcome back to the channel. And if you are brand new, welcome. And so, the number one thing that we talk about over here is marriage. We also right now are just going through a lot of things that concern Black people as a whole and Black love. All right. So I just want to make sure that that's clear before we go any further. So you just kind of saw that video, and I mean, honestly, it is just something absolutely crazy. And unfortunately, a lot of Black people actually understand this. They've seen things like this. And even with some of the charts and other information that I've been constantly going over recently, which talks more about how almost 70% of Black people, period, that's men or women, are actually raised in single parent homes. And usually, not always, but usually they are, woman led, right? So we're in this culture that's kind of really upside down. And there's a lot of history that goes, through this. I mean, I literally could do 30 minutes worth of video that talks about the history and how we got here, talking about everything from slavery to how white people thought they could fix the situation, and all these other types of things. Their bleeding heart, after slavery, on how they're going to fix, African Americans by doing what? Kicking the man out of the home. And now what we end up with, all these years later, is a situation where our Black women, not all of them, but many of them, are just leaning 100% into their masculinity. I mean, in the video, it was a woman that struck first. She is the one that is doing this attack. I mean, all of these types of things are going on, and we have to ask ourselves, why are they going on? Well, they're going on because things are upside down. Now, with the cross on the screen, let's talk a little bit more about this. So if you know anything about your Bible, and if you're not a Christian, that's okay. That's okay. But I'm just going to, give you a few nuggets really quickly. So if you go back to Genesis for the Bible scholars, okay, what you will see very quickly is that it was Eve that basically ate of the fruit, right? Of the forbidden fruit. And it was her that ate it first and encouraged her husband to actually eat the same. So after they ate it, what they really recognized, people focus a lot on the fact that they recognized they were naked, but what they were really recognizing was that there were things in the world that made them ashamed. All right. So it was really more about shame than it was about them being naked. They were ashamed that they were naked. They were ashamed that they had eaten of the fruit, and they were ashamed, okay, that they did not do what God told them to do. Right. So right after that, we see some very interesting things. And when God comes back and he actually starts to talk to the man, he basically, says, okay, hold on. Why you guys got clothes on, and why are you hiding from me? And that is when, Adam basically says, hey, see what had happened was, the woman, the woman you gave me, she had me to eat this fruit, and God, I know you said it was wrong, but God, I mean, it was her fault. It was her fault. And then she turns and she's like, no, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I mean, it was the serpent. It was the serpent. The serpent told me it was okay. It was okay. And as you go through, you get basically all of the punishments for, what happened. And so the serpent, who we have to assume at that particular time could actually walk, kind of maybe like a dog or a cat or something, was now banished to be without feet. And if you know anything about, biology, you actually know that snakes, even to this day, have teeny tiny feet. They have teeny tiny feet. So it kind of shows at one time they actually had legs. So that is the first major punishment. The second one is that now a woman, when she pretty much does any womanly things, she is now going to be in pain. So this is why women have, menstrual cramps, and it's painful. and why birthing children is painful. It wasn't supposed to be painful, but it is because of this particular punishment. But what was really interesting is when he got to the man, when God gets to the man, and he says, because you have hearkened to your wife, because you have listened to her over me, because you put yourself out of order, because you were not in the lead, because I put you to lead the woman. You guys were supposed to work together. You were the first. I've been walking with you all this time. But instead of listening to me, you listened to your wife. And because of that, I am bringing forth this curse on you, the man. And he even says at the end of that curse that your woman is going to desire to control you for eternity. So you have to put all these things in perspective, because what does a curse do? A curse basically takes you away from what was natural, what was normal, what was supposed to be without pain or suffering or problems. Are we kind of getting this? Nobody wants to be cursed. Nobody wants to feel like their life is cursed, because a curse is the opposite of a blessing. A blessing means that all these great, wonderful things are coming to you and it's making your life better. A curse is exact opposite, right? So when we fast forward through time, okay, and if you want to get away from the biblical stuff for a second, we can. Now, and we start to talk about Africa, all right? Because we as Black people, okay, we are descendants of Africans, even people in Colombia, even people in Brazil. Many of them are descendants of Africans. And a lot of Black people in America, generational Black people, don't really understand that a lot of Africans don't like us. And it's not that they don't like us because we're just mean, nasty people. What they're afraid of and concerned about is that behavior. That is what they're concerned about. Because in their culture, they don't really have that problem. Yes, they have problems, okay, especially depending upon the country. Okay, they have their own unique set of problems, but they don't self-destruct in the way that a lot of generational Black people do here in America. And what they're concerned about is they don't want their daughters and sons to marry Black Americans, generational Black Americans, because they're concerned that those behaviors are going to move into those people, into their children. And now their grandchildren will have, this behavior. See, one of the things that I've learned over time is that we as Black men, we love to beat up on Black women. And I will say that a good portion of the blame goes to them, not necessarily because they're bad people, but because they're in the lead. It's whoever is the leader is the one who gets, criticized. It's like I've said before, when the Falcons lose, to the Saints, which I absolutely hate, who do we blame? We blame the coach. We blame the quarterback. When the country is not doing well, we blame the president. When other things like at a company is going bad, we blame the CEO. We don't blame the person who is the supporting cast. We don't blame them because they're not in leadership. And I know a lot of Black women are upset right now because they're getting blamed for a lot of things. And it's not so much the individual that's getting blamed, it's the energy. Okay. And see, what's happened is because you're in leadership, you get blamed. And that's why I always encourage women to actually get yourself a really great guy that you can submit to. And if you don't like that word, that's fine. But you need a guy that can lead you. All right. And there's a lot of really great guys out there that can do that. But let's get back to the point. The point here is you're dealing with a culture that's toxic. It's toxic. And why is it toxic? Because it's against what God originally wanted. And even if you don't believe in God, I don't care. Stop. I do, man. I ain't believing in you, man. I don't believe in God, man. I don't do that stuff, man. I just want to see what you was talking about in this video. Okay, cool. I'm down with that. But when you look at most cultures around the world, all right, they're patriarchies, which basically means that the man is in the lead and the woman follows. This is most cultures throughout the world. And yes, there are a lot of bad things that happen because a lot of men, for the women that are watching me, a lot of men take their power and they use it in the wrong way. And I will 100% agree with that. And that's why I'm always talking about women finding servant leader type of men. Servant leader type of men. And a servant leader guy will take care of you ladies better than you would take care of yourself. All right? So once you understand that this is how things are really supposed to be, it's supposed to be the man in the lead, and then the man is supposed to be a servant leader. And that allows the woman to fully come into her femininity, to relax, okay, and to be able to bring the fruit of life. Like, I don't even know if a lot of people understand that when a woman is stressed out, it's actually more difficult for her to get pregnant. Yeah, that's why in certain countries, they actually send, I think it's Sweden right now, they're sending their children on vacations. A lot of the grandparents is like a culture because they're trying to create babies because the doggone kids won't create no babies. So they're trying to get them relaxed. It's another reason why a lot of people drink alcohol and then they end up, boom, oh crap, I got pregnant. Why? Because you were relaxed. So what we can understand from all of this is that when a man is leading properly and when he is moving in the way that he is supposed to, it makes it extremely easy for the woman not only to follow him, but also it makes it extremely relaxing on her. She's not as stressed. Life is wonderful. I've done a lot of videos on that. I'll try to put a few up on the screen, but that's how it's supposed to be. A woman's life should actually be easy, extremely easy. And if a woman says, well, no, you don't understand, Jay, blah, 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 blah. I have to go back to, ladies, it's who you're picking. It's who you are picking. And I'll give you a quick aside. And I've kind of said this in a couple of videos, but, like I said, I've been in places where there were 5,000, people walking around here in Atlanta, for different events. And I've had women, like powerful women who, come from middle class backgrounds, different things like that. And they will talk to me because, like I said, I'm a leader in some of the things that I do. And some of these women, like I say, I flirted with, and they kind of looked a little bit and then they just continued to walk on. And we're not talking about women that are taller than me or anything like that. I mean, we're talking about women that are about the right size and everything like that. So when a woman that's single comes into that type of man, that is when her brain is supposed to say, oh, crap, let me talk to him. But what I find is a lot of black women still kind of going towards this fantasy man that is, perpetrated by media. Now, I don't have a lot of time to go into that right now, but I do want to bring that up because that's extremely important. Media is what's really trying to encourage black women to go and chase one particular guy versus another particular guy. And see, that leads into really the next point. Back in the 80s, and you guys might not like Bill Cosby, and I mean, that's fine. You don't have to like Bill Cosby. But Bill Cosby, Oprah Winfrey, and there were several other, powerful black people in media at that time. And what they really wanted to do was to create clean black shows to encourage black people to do the right thing. Robert Townsend was also one of them. And so what you saw in that era is things like Cosby Show, okay, and A Different World and different things like that. And even Robert Townsend did the Parenthood and a lot of his older films. And so that era, the 80s, early 90s, and I even hear people talking about it today, like I want a 90s kind of love. I want a Love Jones kind of love. Why do you think those things existed? Because the culture of the time was saying we want to be positive. We want to push a more middle class environment to black people. So even the people that did not come up in the middle class could see that and then want it. and then adopt the behavior to try to get it. Because see, at the end of the day, what happens is this is about behavior. This is about culture. So what happens is like I had a video recently where there were some young kids, just young kids, and they even had Disney characters, and they're out there twerking, right? And again, I'm not against twerking for an adult. I think it can be fun and funny, and heck, I wouldn't mind a woman twerking for me, my wife. Let's rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely think there's a place for it, but there's not a place for it among children under 5 years old. There's no place for that. And what happens is people will teach their children this behavior quicker than they will teach behavior that will edify them so that they can have a better life. And see, this is a culture. And see, a lot of Black people think all Black people do this, but we don't. See, Black people, even though we don't like talking about it, we actually do exist in classes. Okay, you have your poor, or we might call them hood, we might call them ratchet, whatever word, because like I tell y'all, the devil loves to change words around. He loves to change words around to get you confused. All right, but basically people ain't got no money, and they live in environments where they're ducking bullets, and they're worried about people robbing them and breaking into their house and all this other kind of stuff, and the gas and stuff is expensive, and everything got bars on it when you go to the convenience store. All right. And then you got people that I will call the working class. And the working class is right at that poor level that goes up to the middle class. All right. And then you have the middle class. And the middle class people, and generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, we're talking about socioeconomic here. We're not talking about money. We're talking about socioeconomic, which means you come from a background of this as well. It's not just it starts in your generation. I made enough money, I hustle, and now I make $200,000 a year, so now I'm middle class. No. If you come from the hood, your mindset is still hood. Okay, now you can change your mindset. And that's one of the reasons why this video exists. You can change your mindset. But again, that's going to be up to you. So now you go into the middle class. And middle class people, I'll be honest, most Black people that come from the middle class, we chill. Most of our life is pretty relaxing. Some people might even call it boring. Why? Because we don't have drama. We don't fight with our wives. Nobody's beating up anybody. Okay, nobody's calling the police. Okay, our children go to school. They get generally good grades, A's and B's, and sometimes C's. Okay, they don't get in trouble. They don't, go to jail. They don't have juvie records. All right. They generally go to college. Okay. They come out with a reasonable amount of student loan debt. They generally get married, generally in their 20s, and they create new babies that will do it again. All right. Okay. Because what happens is when people are in these cultures, you create children that come up and act like you did. And I actually even did, like I said, in that particular video that I was saying earlier about the twerking, I was even talking about hypergamy. And I was saying the reason why it's so difficult for a lot of women to really be hypergamous, they bring their culture with them. So now you have women that are coming up and they're really working class or they're really ratchet. You know what I'm saying? And then now they're trying to talk to somebody like me because they're going to change their life. I'm gonna change my life. I'm gonna give me a good man. I made it all this way. I only got one baby. I still look good. I got my weave on tight. My baby hers is laid. And so now I'm gonna talk to me a good guy and give me a good life. But then and I'm not gonna lie, some of these women are gorgeous, just being real. And so what happens is middle class guys or guys that maybe not middle class, maybe they was working class, but they have all their ducks in a row. Okay, and even upper class guys, they meet these women. And then these women believe that, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this dude. I'm gonna get this dude. But it doesn't work that way. Because very quickly we start to see the behavior of the woman. And the behavior shows that she has not been trained in a way that represents the culture of the middle or the upper class. You see how that worked? And so, yeah, I'm just going to be real. I know it's a cross on the screen and everything, but a lot of guys, just being real, they'll, you know, and then drop the chick and then move on. Okay. They're going to put on like 3 condoms, they're going to make doggone sure she don't get pregnant. Because like I said, a lot of these women are very attractive, but what ends up happening, right after that is that she gets frustrated because she doesn't really know what she did wrong. And what she did wrong was she didn't understand that her culture is toxic. And people that are healthy understand when you are sick. Okay? And they're looking at the behavior, and the behavior will not create a generation that will come after them that will be more in that uplift type of situation. And see, this is really where in Black people that they don't quite get it. They don't quite understand it. Especially for those that have never really walked in that their entire life. They've been told one thing, but then they're finding out now in their late 20s and their 30s that it doesn't really work that way. And what's even more confusing is that our media, especially among Black people, really pushes the ratchet lifestyle, the ghetto lifestyle, the hood lifestyle. And then people, and that's when people make excuses. They say, well, no. So-and-so made it. So-and-so made it. This person, this made it. But they made it based off their talent, not based off their mind. See, you have to understand how all these things work. If you remove your rappers and your R&B artists and your all of your athletes, if you take these people that didn't have a physical talent and you remove them from Hollywood, most of the people that are left are middle class Black people. People like Denzel Washington, okay? Michael B. Jordan. This is what you end up with. Again, do you kind of see the difference? Their behavior, they act totally different. They don't move in the same ways. They don't talk in the same ways. Oprah Winfrey, they don't move the same. And see, that is really where the problem is. It's all about how you're moving. And some people, they understand this and they're doing things to try to make a better future. Now, I don't want this video to get too long, so I'm going to try to wrap it up here. But what I'm basically trying to say throughout this entire video is that Black people in general, we have a culture problem. It's not just a Black woman problem. It's a culture problem. And to get back to, what I was saying, even about, the whole matriarchy, patriarchy thing. See, men are actually supposed to be at the top. They're supposed to be in control and make sure that everything is lining up, to make sure that it honestly gives glory to God. I mean, that's really what it's supposed to do. But in our culture, it's upside down. Okay, the women have the control. And what we're seeing is the downside of said thing. And a lot of people are saying this, that, and the third, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. And many of you, if you watched a lot of my videos, you'll even hear me saying that for a lot of men, Black men that watch, a lot of them want to be passport bros and they want to go overseas and they want to find women from other cultures. But I'm always trying to encourage you as a man, you have to fix you first. If you don't fix you, then what's going to happen is you're going to go into one of these cultures and you might find a woman that will date you. But the problem is she understands energy too. She understands the same thing I was talking about when I was saying the whole, hypergamy thing. So this woman from Colombia or from Brazil or from Nigeria, or from Ethiopia, she's looking at you. She understands what a man's supposed to feel like. And if you don't feel like that, then she's not going to talk to you. Or if she does talk to you because maybe, she's going down a fantasy or she's just enjoying the moment, she's probably going to divorce you. Because what she's not getting is she's not getting a man's man, that full masculinity energy. And it's because you haven't done the work in yourself to fix it. And it's not hard really to fix it, guys. It's like I've told you guys before. I encourage you to read Proverbs. I encourage you to read Matthew. If you don't read anything else in the Bible, I just encourage you to read those too, all the way through. And honestly, I would encourage you to read them over and over and over again. And, especially if you do not have a daddy at home. Okay. But if you're in a situation, like I said, where you are walking fully in your masculinity, you understand, how to be a servant leader, then yeah, go overseas, get you a woman. And more than likely, those women will stay with you because what they feel in you is the normal masculinity of their men. It's slightly different, but they can feel it. And like I've said before, I've dated, I'm not gonna lie about it. About 50% of the women that I've dated have been from overseas. And I'm sorry, ladies, that are watching if that offends you, but I'm just being real. I will still date American women, have no problem with it. Okay, if that woman is lined up. But at the same time, I have dated women from the islands. I have dated women from Brazil. I've dated women from Nigeria. I've dated women from South Africa. Okay, and I'll be honest, those women generally love me. Why? Because they can feel the masculinity in me. And they don't have a problem because this to them feels normal. And many of them will tell me that they generally don't date American black men, or that a lot of times when they've dated American black men in the past, it didn't work out because, they just wasn't feeling the guy. Because a lot of them can't put their true words to it. They just know this is not right. Right? So one of the things that I'm gonna say to end this is that, first of all, black men, we have to step up. And when I say step up, I'm not saying take care of, some other woman's, child. I ain't saying that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm talking about is we have to make sure that we're walking in our full masculinity. And we have to make sure that we're taking leadership. And I would encourage you not to go 50-50 with any woman. If she cannot give you 50.0001% of the power, you don't need her. Okay? You are called to be a leader, not to be the follower. And she's called to be the follower, not to be the leader. All right? And that might hurt some women that is watching, but I'm telling you, ladies, you will do so much better under a man who truly knows how to lead than you will trying to be 50-50 with a man who is basically a fool. And an alpha man, or a man that's walking in his masculinity, is not going to share his leadership with you. He's not. Okay? And y'all can get mad about it. Y'all can jump and run around in circles. But again, I'm constantly trying to encourage people not to hit their head against the brick wall. There are just certain things that is just not going to happen. A man is not going to give birth to a child. It ain't going to happen. It don't matter how hard I try. Okay, I could try all I want, but what is it going to do at the end of the day but make me look stupid? So what I'm telling you, ladies, is that when you're dealing with alpha men, when you're dealing with men that walk in their masculinity, because like I say, they don't have to be true alpha. They just have to be walking in their masculinity. Okay, to the point where they're leading, where they're going down a path. And I've told the men, you got to be on the path, not talking about the path. You got to be on the path. But when a man is on his path, he knows what he's doing. He's looking for a woman to join him on that path, not to change him and move him to another path based on what you want. And I know for a lot of women, they don't like that. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what are you looking for? Okay, so for those men, I just tell you, do not 50-50. 50-50 is bull garbage. That is feminist rhetoric. All right, but you are called to be a servant leader, which basically means that you should work more than your woman. If your woman is working more than you, God is going to have a lot of conversation with you when you get to heaven. Okay, if that is your final destination, okay, he is going to have a long, uncomfortable conversation with you. Okay, servant leader, you look at Jesus. Jesus basically did more for the people around him than they did for him. All right? So yes, you want 51% of the power, okay, in the relationship, but that also means you should be doing 55% of the work. Okay, a woman's life should actually be relaxed. But in order to get this working, and to fix the culture, that is what I'm just encouraging more black men to step into that 100% full masculinity. And for the women, they need to trust when a man is walking in that. Okay, to fix silliness like this. All right, because this is the problem. This is why we have so many issues in the black culture. And women, you cannot lean on media, because media is what is turning you in the wrong direction. And I've told you guys before, the ladies before, you can use your mind, okay, to change your whole perspective, but you have to be willing to do it. And like I said, I can't go into it, but you can watch a lot of my older videos. Even if you just watch the last 10 videos, that's going to give you a lot more information than just this 130-minute video. So anyway, if this helped you, take 3 seconds, hit that share button, share it right now, share it with 3 people, share it with 3 people. You know you can do it. You know you can do it. Go ahead and share it with 3 people, because it's important. All right. It's important to change the narrative. And if you are very concerned about marriage and that's what you want, whether you're male or female, please hang out on the channel so you can hit subscribe. And all I talk about is marriage. I might go down different things. I might have weird topics that pop up, but every video is really geared toward marriage and godly marriage and getting us to come together as a people and to bless other people around us. So again, please subscribe, please like, and I'm going to see you all in the very next video.